This is Scott Carpenter. I wanted to give a big thank you to Brian Gearheart. And Brian, like he did Dave and Steve, he made me a beautiful cutting board. I don't know if you can see this. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? That's just gorgeous. And Brian, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This is something very special. It's a work of art. I won't cut on it. It'll be displayed proudly and prominently in my office. And I just wanted to thank Brian for this, and for his support, and for his prayers. And I really do appreciate it, Brian. Thank you so much. And this is just gorgeous. Thank you. Hello, this is Scott Carpenter again. Somebody had messaged me and said, hey, you need to look at Steve's latest video that he called you out for someone to get a hold of you, and the guy's name is Scott S. And the name of the video is Two Children in a Deer Blind with Something Big on Two Legs Watching Them. And it was published today. And so Steve read his letter, and I went back and I listened to his email, and then Steve said you get a hold of Scott Carpenter, so I thought I'd just do a video and go ahead and get it out there for Scott. His name's Scott S. And anybody else that's having this issue. I've dealt with this before with a rancher out west, and I've published that before, and that the rancher has been good enough to allow me to actually publish the emails back and forth. And listening to the situation that Scott's in here, it sounds like he could be in what I call a dominion situation. And what that is there are two types of things going on with the Sasquatch. It's not just cut and dry. And there is one type of situation where the Sasquatch follows someone home. In other words, someone goes out and looks for them or tries to find them, and accidentally or unknowingly kind of sets that invitation where they can come, follow you home. It's called the hitchhiker. That's what the occult people and the hunt for the skinwalker people now call it. It's called the hitchhiker effect. And I've always called it they're going to follow you home effect. So, and that situation is different than the dominion situation. Now, when I say dominion, what that means is you own some property. It's going to be in the family for 2 or 3 generations or longer. Usually it's larger areas of property. It's farms. We're talking a couple hundred acres to thousands of acres. And there are Sasquatch that have been living on that property long before your family or you took possession of it. So they have got squatters' rights or dominion. In other words, they were there first. Now, of course, we don't recognize their property rights, and they're not recognized officially by any government agency. And they just kind of live much like the Native Americans lived, where they live in small clans. They have a home territory and they move around. But if you're living in an area that they think or feel like they have dominion over, that can cause us a unique set of problems, which I think Scott S. is dealing with. Now, there are 2 ways I always tell people to deal with this. I have the practical side and the spiritual side. And those of you who watch my videos know what I'm talking about. Now, on the practical side, there's the trail cameras. Now, it sounds like with this Scott S. guy, they came on his property, they've killed one of his dogs, they've raided the chicken coop, slaughtered his chickens, but left them, which to me is they're sending him a message. This most likely a dominion message. Hey, this is our property, and or this is our territory. Back off, or you need to show us some respect. That sort of situation. So, listening to what I've listened to, and with this is just, I'm not an expert. This is just my opinion. It's advice. It's worth what you paid for it, which is nothing. But This has worked before. It worked for the rancher, and you know, sorry there, I had a small brain fart. This has worked for Mike the rancher, and so I'm going to make the assumption here that we probably have a dominion situation. If it was me, this is how I'd handle it. Number one, you want to keep them away from the house. And it sounds like you're a spiritual man. So I would rebuke them from around the house and even set up trail cameras and other and lights and like motion sensor lights, party lights, holiday lights. But what I would do is I would go to the four corners of my home property, not the ranch or your farm, but the home property. If it's on a couple acres, 3 acres, whatever, acre and a half, 2 acres, doesn't matter. I would go to the four corners and I would pray this prayer. And this is just an example. It needs to come from your heart in faith. And you need to pray it out loud, and you need to pray, you're going to do what's called rebuking. And that is what you're doing is you're not in your strength or in your ability, but you're calling on Jesus to protect you and to rebuke. Through his name, you're rebuking these Sasquatch and any other entities or craziness that may come along with them. So you would go to the four corners of your property and you would say, in Jesus' name, I rebuke you. In his power and his strength, I rebuke you. I forbid you in Jesus' name from coming on my property, from coming on my property and interacting with me or my family in any way, shape, or form. This is for any Sasquatch or any other satanic entity. And do that on all four corners. Now, that as far as the home in your living area, I've had 100% success with that. If the person is a person of faith and it's done sincerely, and it's not done in a prideful thing, but it's done in humility and in Jesus' name and relying on him. But in a dominion situation where the Sasquatch have dominion over that area, they already have been there, for hundreds of years, and it's kind of an encroachment deal both ways. I recommend that you go out on your property and speak to them. Now, they're not going to come out and meet you. That is not how it works. But they, as since you, Scott S. is one of the, unfortunately, is one of those that's been marked and they follow him. And he has identified an individual, a black Sasquatch with a white patch on his chest. Then you go out and you speak to them directly and firmly, not in fear, but respectfully. And you say, you do not want any trouble, and you and your family are off limits, that we can coexist on this property. You do your thing and I'll do mine. Don't, my livestock are off limits, leave them alone. Now, that's step number one. And you can, there's nothing wrong with rebuking around your greater property. To be honest with you, if they've got dominion, it's not going to work. God's not going to honor that because that's their property. You can't like go in and move them off their property. It's just the way it is. It's only when they're encroaching on you and they're trespassing that works. If it's a dominion situation, most of the time that won't work. The rebuking will protect you and your family and your dwelling place. It'll keep them. It puts a bubble around your house, but it doesn't do anything with your property and your livestock. And I've seen them move, where I've seen them like stop and throw. They can't, they won't go to the house anymore, and they'll throw rocks or take wood from the wood pile and sling it in the front yard, or throw stuff at the house, but they won't come to the house anymore. Sorry about that. Almost ran out of space. So the first step is to go speak to them on your property, or if you have sets of property. Sounds like you may have your property and your grandfather's farm, so you may have to do this, you know, on multiple properties that you own. But on each property, if there's a dwelling place, you need to rebuke them from around the dwelling place and then deal with them in the outer or in the livestock area, killing and working with your dogs. So that's step one. It may or may not work. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they ignore that. They as a people feel like this is our land, we have dominion over it. You know, we're going to, you know, claim rights to take whatever we want. You know, I'm 8 foot tall and 1,200 pounds. You know, no, you know, I'm not going to obey that, or I'm not going to honor that. Now, the second thing is where you make a deal. You barter with them. That you do not pay homage. You don't give them gifts. I heard you say something about offering a gift. No, do not offer a gift. It has to be a respectful man to man or person to person, being to being deal. It's a barter. It's a agreement. And you propose the agreement. And this is what, since you're a hunter and you're taking wild game on a regular basis on your property, this is going to be the barter I suggest to you, is that you say, in exchange for you leaving my livestock alone and not hurting my dogs or coming up to my livestock, my barns and my outbuildings and wreaking havoc, I will in turn give you the guts, the liver, the heart, and any other organs when we kill a deer. We'll leave that, we'll take it out, we'll place it up, don't leave it on the ground, pull it out, clean it up, leave it on a stump, leave it on top of a fence post. In other words, you know, respectfully leave this, you know, as part of the deal. In other words, they're going to leave you alone, and your payment to them is giving them the tender organs and the desired organs from the deer or hog or anything else you kill. And that would be step two, if just trying to make it, you know, just straight up saying no. And with Mike the Rancher, that worked. He also added in, if winter got bad, if it got a bad winter and you were in need of food, to let them know by some signal. And that's something you can work out. You can say, however you want to do it, you can say, leave a rock on top of this fence post, or if you got a stump that's beside the barn, leave a rock, put a stick. You know, they're not going to overtly do anything, but you could tell them, you know, this is, you know, if, you know, we have a bad winter and you need food, it's part of this deal. You know, leave a rock on this stump, leave a rock on top of this fence post, put an X right here, whatever. And I will, you know, and then I will bring you, you know, something like, you can bring them a chicken, go ahead and kill it and leave it there and say, I will bring you some food as part of our deal. You know, you just don't indiscriminately come into my barn or into my chicken coop and start, you know, slaughtering chickens. If you have a need, then an honest need, then that's, you know, that's part of the deal. But it has to be a deal. It's a respect thing. You go in respect, but you do it firmly. You look into the woods, keep your head up, look around like you're speaking to someone. Though you may not see them, they're going to hear you. And I would go on your property in all the areas where you know they frequent. It may be 2 or 3 areas, it may be just one, and do this. That's my advice. That has worked before. Like I said, that worked for Mike the Rancher. He declared war on them, was using high electrical fences on them, was shooting at them, and it got so bad that they were flipping his chicken coop. I mean, he put, like, you know, when he would electrify and do things in this war he started with them, they were winning the war. The only thing they didn't do is they didn't come up to his house. He was able to prevent that, but everywhere else on his property, from his hunting cabins to he was killing the calves. They were killing calves and not even eating them. They were just leaving them there. It was a signal. It was a sign. It was a message. They were needlessly killing animals and not eating them. So that's my advice. Like I said, you already know, anytime you go on your property, you should always go armed. It's a trust but verify. I don't trust them. Sorry, I don't. People get upset with me when I say that, but I just don't trust them. I do think in respect and your honoring your word, and you keep your bargain, they'll keep theirs. If they break it, then we'll, have to talk about some other means and see what else we can do. But that's, so far, that has worked. And like I said, it worked with Mike the rancher. They were tearing his, like I said, they were tearing his cabins apart. And he had cabins, he had a hunting ranch, a working ranch, and guided hunters, and they were tearing the doors off the hinges and ransacking his cabins, and they were, like I said, they were killing his livestock. And instead of going to war with him, which he couldn't win, he made a barter. He made a deal, and he traded, he traded them the deal with the wild game and the offer for food if things got bad during the winter, for basically for passage, for them allowing them to hunt in peace, and for him to be able to, then they would leave his livestock alone and leave his barns and his chickens and goats and everything else alone. And that's the deal you need to make. That's what but it's a deal. You don't gift them. You don't pay any homage to them. You don't give them a gift and say, oh, please don't. No. You go in strength. Boldly go in strength to these guys. They respect strength. And you make it clear they're to stay away from your children and you and your home. So I hope that helps. Let me know. You can go. I've got the Sasquatch Awareness Program, Project. I always miss Sasquatch Awareness Project. And you can contact me. My email is scott.e.carpenter@gmail.com. That's Scott, S-C-O-T-T, .e as in echo, .carpenter as a carpenter that builds a house, CARPENTER, at gmail.com. If you have any questions, have any problems, I'll help you all I can, pray for you, and hopefully, doing this, you can get some peace, and you can get this particular Sasquatch to back off and to leave you alone and let you hunt and let you go, do your thing. So I'm going to get off here. Again, like I said, Steve brought that up and threw out my name, and I got a message from a friend that said, hey, Steve, in his video day recommended a guy get a hold of you. So I went out and listened to it, and so like I said, this being able to do a video helps more than just you. Hopefully if there's other people in your situation, which I know there are, hopefully this will help them. So I've got a couple other things I may splice into this video, but just take care, everybody. God bless, and y'all be safe out there. I'll talk to you soon. See y'all.